it's a dual threat quarterback. Probably the strength of their team, as they will tell you, is their offensive line. Got great experience there. They did a great job in the transfer portal, bringing in some additional receivers and tight ends. Tight ends they get the ball to quite a bit, and defensively playing really well, playing with a lot of confidence, play with great effort. Got a good experienced group back there and super efficient in the special team. So going to be, again, a really good opportunity for us. We're going to have to play well, and we're going to have to certainly play complementary football and clean football, taking care of the ball, being able to be efficient, in all three phases. So couple of tough back-to-back games, obviously, and but our guys have really responded well. Again, they've got a great mindset. I love their leadership on this team, and there's been a real willingness to continue to work and invest, and our players have invested a tremendous amount in the season. So they're anxious to have a really good, strong finish.
Okay, we're going to start on the far right and just work our way down. Okay. Talk about that offensive line that West Virginia's got. What makes them so good besides just like the experience that they've got?
Yeah, they're physical. They play with confidence. There's really good cohesion and chemistry there. They work together well, kind of like that marching band. You know it when you see it, you know it when you don't. They're all, really got good chemistry out there on the field when you watch them. They do a lot of pre-snap communication, and they just don't turn people loose. They do a great job in protecting the passer. They've only given up 9 sacks on the year, which is 11th in the country, second in the conference, and very few tackles for loss, disruptive type plays. There's not a lot of leakage there.
George?
Yeah, Brent, I was listening to your coach's show last night, and I heard you say that you probably felt like you maybe had a Rolodex of better plays on that fourth.
Yeah, we're on to West Virginia now.
Do you feel like, though, generally that the offensive play calling can improve the last couple of weeks, or is it more of an execution for the offense moving forward?
We're on to West Virginia. They've done a pretty good job. I think they've got a great body of work. You look at it offensively, you're still number 1 in the conference in scoring. That is the name of the game there. And first in the conference in total yards, first in the conference in passing. They've obviously made a lot of good decisions. And, I think we're top 10 in the country and on third downs, first in the conference in third downs. So they've done a really, really nice job. They've protected the passer really well, one of the best in college football. So.
Brent, as your team navigates through the 2 losses and obviously tough losses, anything that you think you've learned over the last year or so as a head coach to maybe help them navigate and get back on the right side of things?
Yeah, again, it starts with me. Again, attitude, accountability, ownership, motivation, how you teach and how you correct, to get the guys have the right perspective. Again, when you're in this sport, handling both success and failure and everything in between is important. Again, your mindset, your attitude, your perspective, and perspective drives everything. And so having the right perspective, again, it's okay. You should be disappointed. You've invested a lot. You didn't get the result that you wanted, but it's not a failure. Some people agree with that. Some people won't. That's fine. That's everybody's prerogative. But again, it's got to be eyes forward. You can't sit there and look in the rearview mirror and put the car in a ditch. You got to, eyes forward, and again, what we got to do in front of us. Where we got to correct, where we got to get better. Whether that's schemes or it's fundamentals or it's new players getting added to the mix. It's the matchups, for the next opponent. All those things.
Yeah, Brett, been a while since you've had a night game here at home. Obviously the last one in the Big 12. I wanted to ask you about the benefits of playing at home at night from whether it's a game preparation standpoint, a recruiting standpoint, and atmosphere standpoint as you see it.
Yeah, again, our fans, they do a great job showing up all the time, but for whatever reason, night games draws a few more people, and it's a great opportunity for people to travel from a recruiting standpoint from a little further away. So it gives opportunity from a time standpoint to whether you're getting in the car or catch a plane, bring in official visitors, things of that nature. For recruiting, it can be a real plus for you as well. But preparation is everybody will have the same amount of time, so I'm not sure if it's an advantage or not. I've said it many times. I think most players and coaches prefer to wake up and go play, but it is an opportunity for our guys to sleep in and get a little bit more rest, catch up from the week, and more time to meet. I'm not sure if the players like that, but coaches always like a little more time to meet and walk through.
Dylan brought that up last night. He said he wasn't sure if it was a good or a bad thing.
I get it. Been on both sides of it. So, and again, I prefer to get up and go play as well. Mm-hmm.
Brent, you've had 9 one-possession games in your short career as a coach, including 4 of the last 4 games. I wanted to ask you kind of a 2-part question. Defensively, as a defensive-minded coach, do you sense any tense play from your players or anything during those fourth quarters of these tight games, or are they still playing loose? And then from an offensive perspective, are you getting the play calls that you want in terms of staying aggressive versus balancing things out, or do you think you could do things different offensively in some of these one-possession games?
Again, I don't see players getting tense and those kind of things. I don't see that. And again, after the fact, it's always you look at you analyze every single play in every game. Some were good, some weren't. In some games, like I say, a Texas game, where you were far from perfect. You didn't turn the ball over, so you win the game. Even though you got plenty of plays that you weren't very good at all, and you have bust and bad calls and things of that nature, but you're efficient in a lot of areas, and there's a timeliness to some of the things. You're able to execute a 2-minute, you're able to force a field goal and not score, so give yourself an opportunity to go down and win. You catch it when you're wide open, it makes all the calls look really good. So I'm not going to sit here and debate calls and all that kind of stuff. And we take care of that when we meet, and but you're always analyzing yourself, always. And the coach is always, even if it worked, you're like, man, this would have been better. So, there's not going to be a game that you ever coach in that you're not going to be able to go back and say, wish we would have done that different or this different and whatnot. So it's easy to, to sit on the outside looking in and analyze all that. Mm-hmm.
Brent, it looks like you've had your running game going pretty well going into this game. Talk about that matchup, and why do you think that the running game is going so well now, and that matchup against West Virginia's defense?
Well, again, it's turnovers in the run game. You being efficient at running the football that's how you win. In this conference in particular, that's what the stats say, and it's a lot of games. So those are, just from a game control standpoint, that helps everybody when you can be efficient, and doesn't mean you're not throwing the ball and things of that nature when you have to, because you need to be able to throw the ball as well. But, guys, again, the last few weeks have done a better job, and, we got to consistently be able to do it and consistently hit the hole and consistently target people, whether it's interior run game or it's out on the perimeter as well. That's all part of, this offense, and being able to target and move people and cover people up is important. And for a good part of the year, it's been really good. And there's been other times, whether it was last week or any other game, where it's got to be better. But it's going to be a big challenge. It'll be a big part of this week's game. They're, again, like I said, they're running the ball really well. Again, very few negative plays in what they do offensively. And, again, playing with a lot of confidence, how they target and get north and south, and they'll run inside, run outside, the quarterback run game, all the play actions off of it. So, that's why they've won or had a chance to win. They lost a heartbreaker to Houston, passed for 400 yards against Houston, and what looks like it's going to be the go-ahead touchdown, and then they have a celebration penalty and mark it off on the kickoff. Next thing you know, it's at midfield. They throw it in the end zone, and Houston's able to pull it out. Otherwise they're sitting in first place in the conference as well. Lost a really tough game against Oklahoma State at home a few weeks ago. Again, same thing. Goes down to the last few minutes of the game, and Oklahoma State, runs a little RPO to pull ahead, and then hits a couple of, on the last two drives, hits a couple of one-hitters for touchdowns to what makes it look like in the stat sheet that they really handled them well, but they were in that game all the way to the end as well. So going to be, again, a great challenge, and the game control will be a big part of it, being efficient, protecting the football, not making things easy for people, a big part of it.
Brent, in terms of evaluating the offense week to week, what is your process like from Saturday or Sunday game film into the early week and putting the things you want to fix into a game plan for next week?
I mean, there's a lot there. I'm not going to go into all the details, but what do we got to do to win? Whatever that is, that we got to do to win. What are the matchups? Every week's a little different. But the offense is affected by how the defense is playing and how the kicking game is playing. It all plays together. So, it's not just a general, hey, X, Y, Z. Get the ball in the playmaker's hands, and you got to be able to run the ball and take shots, and got to make plays. And again, if we make, if we do the layups, do the basics the right way, everything flows. Every offense on the planet will, that has good quarterback play will be very cohesive, and it doesn't take but one guy to where it doesn't look good. And but if we're turning the ball over and pre-snap penalties are an issue, it's going to affect your whole team. And again, turning the ball over isn't just the offense. We've had 2 turnovers on kickoff return after a long kickoff return against Tulsa, and in a wet, sloppy game, and they sky kicked the ball to us. So we did a great job through the first part of the season at protecting the ball. I think we had 5 turnovers, and then the last 2 weeks we've had 6 turnovers. I think 23-13 are the points off of turnovers, and we've lost 2 games by a total of 8 points. So to me, that's protecting the football. Pre-snap penalties. We've had 6 false starts the last 2 weeks. Can't have that and get into a good rhythm offensively. It's like having a PI or jumping off sides. Every other play can't happen, and it's hard to get into a good rhythm if people are on defense, if people are running the ball for 6 and 7 yards a pop on 1st and 10, first play of the drive. But our first down efficiency on the year is one of the best in college football. And so when we're not doing things to hurt ourselves on both sides of the ball, we've been really, really good. I think 1st in the conference and 9th in the country in first down efficiency. So that's where it starts, being efficient in all the areas that we've identified multiple times throughout the year, and we've made a tremendous improvement from where we were a year ago. I think it goes without saying. Several weeks ago, losing Andrew Anthony was a big loss, and at times we've been able to have some guys come through, but again, we got to play consistently when it comes to doing the basics the right way. And when you get open, you got to catch the ball, and when we're targeting people again on the perimeter, we got to do a great job covering people up and making people work. And so we need to be more consistent with some of those things, and that helps the flow of everything. And but we've made a lot of improvement. Again, we were 2 weeks ago we were number 1 in the country in turnover margin, and despite 6 turnovers in the last 2 games, we're still top 10, and that's the biggest indicator between winning and losing. Everything else looks pretty good when you are.
Yeah, Brent, you've said before, in handling success, you have to handle the boring, the day-to-day.
Mm-hmm.
Are you still seeing the Monday through Friday in November being handled the same way as it was the
Yeah,
first month? of the
again,
season?
and it's easy to say. I think it's again, I'm not naive, so I've been on teams where guys did get bored, where we lost our edge, we lost our focus, and not where the team did, not this guy here and this guy here. I mean, you got 120, plus guys that are 18 to 24-year-olds. You're going to have plenty of guys that kind of lose their way. You just don't. It can't be that many, and this team has remained focused, and at times in plenty of games there's mistakes made. That doesn't. I think it's lazy to say, oh, they're not focused. To throw everybody in there. You're supposed to keep your eyes on number two. Next thing you know, they got crisscross going, and you lose count of who number two was. That happens sometimes. I'm talking about a defense relate to number two. And I lost two. I looked at one, and next thing you know, you're out of a gap, or you lose a guy in coverage. That happens all the time. And sometimes you're exposed, and sometimes you're not. Same thing if snap hits you in the hands and you drop it. Like, that doesn't mean that the team's lost their way. It means one guy just mishandled a ball. And that's football. That's football. It happens all the time. And so that being said, I see a team that's, they've determined and passionate, and they care, and they work, and they respond, and they're tough, and we're not perfect.
Hey, Brent, wanted to ask you about Drake Stoops, the guy that's been really consistent this season. But last night he talked to us about how much pride he takes in the team and finishing the season the right way. Just how important maybe has his leadership been, especially the last couple of weeks when things have gotten a little tough? Yeah,
his leadership's always good, and that's what good leadership does. Again, leadership isn't a position. Leadership is action, and he's represented that since I've known him. And he cares deeply, and that's all you got to do is care a little more. If you care a little more, you're going to do a little more. And that's the challenge for us as coaches, always, to get guys to care a little more, care more about their opportunity, care more about their teammates, care more about this time in their life, and opportunity to put the crimson and cream on, all those things. So he represents everything that you want from a leadership, a toughness, an investment, work ethic. He's got great edge to him, very competitive, loves his teammates, loves the game, and again, he makes everyone around him better. He's as popular and as good of a leader as we have in our locker room.
For the improvement that you guys have clearly made this year, it still feels like the margins are pretty thin.
Yeah, I don't disagree, and I think that's college football to some degree, but that's where we're at, and I don't disagree whatsoever. So don't do the things that will absolutely punish you. And again, through seven games, we didn't turn the ball over, and the game will honor you for that. And the flip side, I make it that simple. Because again, when you turn the ball over, everything else just gets highlighted. All the other mistakes that are there, even through 7-0, nobody's seeing that because they just see a W. And but we, even in those, SMU, Texas, Cincinnati, there was nothing easy about those games. Nothing. And we had to fight all the way through the fourth quarter to find a way to win. But we won, took care of the football, and that's the name of the game. So. There's always all these underlying issues that sometimes aren't necessarily under the same microscope. But when you lose, or certainly the turnovers enhance your opportunity to lose. Now all these other warts can be exposed, and that's just not at Oklahoma. It's just football, and we don't have our head in the sand of what those might be, and we may not get the result that we want or everybody else wants as fast as everybody might want, but we recognize whatever those are. We understand where our weaknesses are better than anybody else, and I'm not going to talk about it right now, but we got an area on our team that, man, we have to get better. And if we don't, again, and it's it's been a part of not playing quite as well as we need to. And
Is that physical or mental?
oh no, it's just position, just developing a position. And but that's and I say that, man, it's you got all this list of all these things you got to get better at, and that you're working on constantly. When I watch film, when I watch practice, I see what the bad stuff is, because I feel like that's what the opponent's always looking at. And even if you don't get exposed, I'm like, we're gonna get annihilated right here. We don't have a post player. They're gonna see that. And that's what our job is to do, as coaches, is to always be on guard and have a plan on how to try to fix things. And some things are a little bit easier than others, and some of it's continuing to develop in your personnel, where they might be weak, and that never happens fast enough. But that's the name of the game. I make it pretty simple. Again, we've been really good at forcing turnovers this year and protecting the ball. Here in the last couple of weeks, not so good. We're first in the conference, top 10 in the country in turnover points differential. But in the last couple of weeks, we've been punished. And there's plenty of other things in all three phases that we got to be better at. But I look at things like Luke Elzinga coming in, and he's really done some great things the last few weeks. Had a bad punt because I look at it conditions and backed up because of a penalty on 2nd and 10. That's what I look at, and we punt at 30 yards, and next thing you know they score a field goal, a short field. But he's really punted well. Zach is he's missed 5 field goals this year, which is about on average in college football, about 75%. And you lose a couple of games by a score, everybody wants to point to all of it, and it all matters. But I don't put it on one guy. We shouldn't have been kicking a 51-yarder. Is how I look at it last week. We needed to be more efficient on 2nd down and 3rd down, so that we're not forced to, can't go for it on 4th down. Now we need the points. Let's kick. And so that's how I look at it, as well. But he's been 45 out of 45 on his PATs, and he's been excellent in his directional kicking and putting it in the end zone a good amount of time. Our coverage units have been really, really strong all year, and our protection has been good in our field goals. And we had the pump block against Texas, but we've been much better since that time. We've blocked a few kicks, and so again, I look at all those different areas, where we can continue to get better, and we need to continue to get better. But I think it's pretty simple when it comes when it's all said and done. And let's control the things. We just have better ball security, and and let's do a good job from a pre-snap standpoint. Not getting the pre-snap penalties that puts us behind the chains and gets us out of rhythm. Mm-hmm.
Yeah, Brent, I know that was a very thorough answer, but I want to follow up on that. How do you fix guys jumping off sides, false starting? How do you fix being more efficient?
Yeah, I got to be locked in the moment. Just, hey, maybe it's in the huddle. The guys are, hey, man,
Can you address it at practice? You're 75% of the way through the season. So can you address that?
False starts happen every week for most teams in college football. It's a big deal. And so it's not you're this far, how come it's still happening? On the road, we didn't handle the noise very well. We moved. It's not one guy doing it 50 times. It's, you had a receiver do it, 2 different receivers do it, and then you had an offensive lineman do it. And jumped off sides, or we lined up off sides of the receiver trying to go fast. So, slow down so that you can get it right, so.
Do you work on that in practice? Like, you don't
Yeah,
work on
absolutely.
specifically that, do you?
Yeah, no, we absolutely do. Your procedures, how to play and line up the right way, and you have a snap count. The ball's moving on every play in practice. Somebody's snapping a ball. So you damn right you work on it, every day, multiple times, 100 times a practice on both sides of the ball.
They get it right.
Do they get it right 100 times? they get it right most of the time.
Second row, right.
Yeah, Brent, just wanted to follow up on some of the penalty stuff. You guys have been the most penalized team in the Big 12. Have you been noticing some recurring problems?
Well, the last 2 weeks, again, being on the road, is something that's common, and but that's we were pretty dang good going into prior to the Kansas game, and then not so good coming out of the last 2 weeks.
When it comes to penalties, I feel like a lot of us on the outside associate it with coaching, and not asking you to throw any of your players under the bus or anything, but like, what is the balance there between, like, you can coach up discipline, but then it's up to the players as well, like when it comes to playing disciplined football and not getting penalized? Where's that balance?
Everybody has ownership, but it starts and ends with the coaches, So, Coach Venables has he's an undisciplined coach, and the players are playing undisciplined. And until you get it righted, that's fair. That's fair, Shoot the arrows, and our job is to fix it, period. So I don't, balance and all that. Yeah, we got to have, better discipline. Everybody has ownership in it, and it all matters. So can't change the narrative now, right?
Brent, what did you think of the play Robert Spears-Jennings made last weekend to come down and make that fourth down stop? And is he someone that's earned more opportunity for you moving forward?
Yeah, Robert did a fantastic job, played really aggressive, played, fast, and was physical. He's made the most of all of his opportunities this year, and really excited. He got a great future. Many times on defense you look out there and we're playing 6, 7 freshmen at one time. And he got in there, didn't flinch, really excited about, where he's headed and trending. And we've known that for a while, but he's really done a great job. Excellent special teams player, never wants to come off the field. Every once in a while you look out there and in a game and guys are, asking to come out. I'm like, who does that? I don't see guys on, you don't see a whole lot of guys doing it, but he's a guy that's asking for more opportunity nonstop. And I love that about him. He doesn't want to come out, no matter what, and come off the field after an 8-9 play drive, and he wants to get on kickoff return. He wants to do everything to help the team win. And so love where he's at and where he's headed. He's done a really good job.
Yeah, Coach Danny Stutzman, not a semifinalist for the Butkus Award. Obviously, what good linebacker play is. Your thoughts on that?
I didn't know that. I don't spend a whole lot of time. Danny's worked really hard. He's an excellent player, one of the best players on our football team. He's deserved all the recognition that he's gotten. He's earned it all. His best football's still ahead of him. I don't really have any kind of comment on list that he's left off of, but he's a fantastic linebacker. Has a chance to be as good as that we've ever had, and he'll be the first one to tell you that, man, he's got so much more in front of him. And I'm not sure if he knew that or not, but he got a great future ahead of him.
Yeah, Brent, you look like you got banged up a little bit last week. How's the injury situation going into this week?
Yeah, it's day to day. Met with the trainer just a little bit ago, so we got several guys that are literally day to day. Danny practiced yesterday. Todd, we practiced yesterday. Gentry's going to practice today. And I'm not sure who else. We had several guys with nicks and bumps and bruises this time of the year. That's pretty much the norm. And but we'll see. I don't really have any idea about game day yet. I certainly can't say definitively anybody's going to miss that we weren't already aware of. All right, y'all have a good one.